It was my alma mater's centennial celebration. The university had specially invited me, a now somewhat accomplished alumna, to give a speech, even arranging for me to sit in the center of the main guest speakers section. As the host introduced the next speaker, I was looking down at my phone, preparing to handle a case for my law firm. Next, let us welcome the recipient of the Starlight Scholarship, Miss Vivian Reed, to the stage. Vivian Reed. Why did that name sound so familiar? The moment I looked up, I saw the girl stepping onto the stage. She wore a pale blue gown, its hem swaying gently with her steps. The string of pearls around her neck was the one-of-a-kind piece I had custom-ordered at an overseas art exhibition last year, the only one in the world. But that wasn't the most outrageous part. The most outrageous part was that the speech in her hand was, word for word, the one I had given 3 years ago at the Global Women's Summit. Not a single word was different. She stood on the stage, poised and confident. The entire hall erupted in thunderous applause, and the projector screen displayed a caption, "From humble beginnings comes a brilliant mind. A student from poverty can rewrite her destiny." I opened my phone, pressed the record button, and aimed it at the stage. Vivian was still on the podium, stirring up emotions. I once thought my life was destined for darkness, but it was starlight that shone into my gray world. I recorded her entire speech, then took photos of her, dress and necklace, and finally, her declaration of hard work gratitude on the projector screen. Then, I bundled all the media files and sent them to Sincere Clark with a 4-line message. "Honey, what a coincidence. I saw my missing dress and necklace today. That girl even has my old speech memorized perfectly. Tell me, if I called the police, would this count as infringement and theft?" Chapter 1. Just then, the spotlight swept across the audience, and Sincere's face was broadcast clearly on the big screen. He was holding a support sign that read, "Go Vivi, you're the best." I looked at him, a faint smile playing on my lips. I stood up, walked past the guest section, and approached him, speaking with a smile. "Dr. Clark, what a coincidence." Sincere's face changed color faster than I had expected. He scrambled to his feet, trying to pull me back to my seat. "Victoria, it's not what you think." I sidestepped his hand, my smile unwavering. "Is that so?" The host noticed the commotion and quickly tried to smooth things over. "It seems our two guests know each other. Dr. Clark is here today, specifically to cheer on Miss Vivian Reed." The moment he finished, the audience was in an uproar. My identity was well known. Founder of the Starlight Scholarship, founding partner of a top law firm, creative director of the independent fashion brand LZ, and one of the most significant donors to this centennial celebration. And now, here we were. The student I sponsored was wearing my dress and reciting my speech, while my husband was in the audience holding a sign for her, and the host had just called us out publicly. I turned to face Sincere, my voice incredibly gentle. "Since when did you start cheering for her?" He opened his mouth, but before he could speak, a message came through from Vivian. Somehow she had found my number. "Lawyer Hawthorne, thank you so much for giving me this opportunity. Dr. Clark said you agreed, and I'm truly moved. I promise I won't let you both down." A few more messages followed in quick succession. "The dress is so beautiful, and the necklace is a perfect match. Thank you so much for lending them to me for the speech. I want to be a woman who can help others, just like you, one day." I laughed out loud and turned to Sincere. "You gave her my number?" Sincere's throat tightened. She was in a bad state emotionally. I was worried something might happen, so I gave it to her. She said she wanted to thank you. I nodded. "She also thanked me for letting her have my speaking slot." "And you let her take the dress and necklace too?" He was speechless. I leaned in closer, my voice low. "Why don't you just give her my ID while you're at it so she can play this part completely?" He frowned. "Victoria, you're being too sensitive. She's just a student. Have you forgotten," I interrupted, "that she is a student I sponsor? Not you. When exactly did you start thinking you could make decisions about her on my behalf?" His breath hitched, a flicker of panic in his eyes. I didn't give him a chance to argue further. Instead, I turned and walked toward the backstage area. Just before going on stage, I deliberately brushed past Vivian. When she saw me, the smile on her face froze. "Lawyer Hawthorne," she began timidly. I stopped, my lips curling into a smile, but my eyes were ice cold. "You did an excellent job. Compared to my speech a few years ago, yours was more emotional, more captivating." Her face paled. I didn't plagiarize, I didn't give her a chance to explain. I leaned in and whispered in her ear. Vivian Reed, welcome to my watch list. You want to leech off me? Fine. But don't forget, I can also make you fall right back down. Her pupils trembled, and her legs grew weak. She nearly stumbled. I smiled, patted her shoulder, and walked onto the stage. Standing at the podium, looking at the waves of applause from the audience below, a thought occurred to me. Some people truly have no idea what they're up against. She wanted to climb up by stepping on me. Fine, then let her taste what it feels like to fall from a great height. Vivian was better at packaging herself than I had imagined. When we got home, Sincere still hadn't given me a straight answer, instead downplaying the whole affair. She meant no harm. She just admires you so much that she imitates and learns from you. You know how fragile some kids are these days. She really has no one to rely on. I smirked. So you became her safe harbor? He fell silent. I stood up, walked into my study, and pulled up the back-end system for the Starlight Scholarship. I remembered that on her application she had listed herself as an orphan, with no parents, supporting herself with part-time jobs, and being psychologically fragile and emotionally unstable. Yet I discovered that her account had suddenly become wealthy 6 months ago. A one-time anonymous donation of $100,000. I didn't even need to check to know who sent the money. I was just puzzled that the transfer was made from our joint family account, and Sincere hadn't mentioned a word of it to me. I didn't ask him. I started investigating her instead. In less than 3 days, I found out that the spiritual art studio where she claimed to work part-time was actually a platform that used charity as a front to sell snake oil. Not only did she tell Sincere her sob stories, but she also used the art supplies he bought her to sell high-priced emotional healing paintings online. The description for each painting read, "Thank you, Dr. Clark. You are the one who led me out of the darkness." I took screenshots, saved them in a folder, and named it Parasite. Overnight, it felt as if this girl had grown tentacles, reaching into every corner of our marriage, our life, our finances, and our reputation. And my husband, the one person who should have been the most vigilant, was still lost in the delusion that she was just a poor, pitiful child. That night, before bed, I saw Sincere staring blankly at his phone. I walked up behind him without a sound. He didn't notice me. On the screen was a photo Vivian had sent. She was in a hospital bed with an IV drip, her face pale, a thermometer in her mouth. Below the image was a line of text. "Dr. Clark, I really don't want to be a bother, but I truly have no one else." "I'm so sorry." I made a small noise. His hand flinched, and he quickly locked the screen. "When did you learn to lock your screen so fast?" I asked, my tone flat. He rubbed his brow. "She's been hospitalized. She had an emotional breakdown and told me not to tell anyone. I was just trying to comfort her." "And do you have any interest in comforting your wife?" Seeing my calm expression, he grew flustered. "Victoria, nothing happened between us. I just want to help her. You know, after all my years doing psychological interventions, I dread these extreme cases the most. She's just so fragile." I watched him quietly. "If she died, could you take responsibility? If she's truly sick, why not go to her student advisor? Why not see a doctor? Why not call an ambulance? But no, she calls you a married man. What do you think you are to her? You're just a tool. She may act pitiful in front of you, but she's as cunning as they come with everyone else. You're just one of the fish in her pond." He was so taken aback he couldn't say a word. I turned and went upstairs, leaving him with one final sentence. "If you still want to save her, then starting tomorrow, separate your finances from our joint family account. From now on, I want to know the source of every single dollar she takes." Sincere had been saying he was busy with work lately, coming home after 10 o'clock for 3 nights in a row. I didn't press him. It was his phone's location services, which he had forgotten to turn off one night, that accidentally revealed everything. The location showed his car parked outside the most expensive steakhouse in the city center. That very restaurant was where we had our first anniversary dinner. I didn't call or text him. I just quietly switched to a secondary social media account. And there it was, a temporary story posted by Vivian Reed. "First time eating at a place like this. Thank you, Dr. Clark." The picture showed 2 clinking wine glasses, a candlelit table, and a bouquet of blue roses. Just out of frame was a man's slender arm in the cuff of a familiar silver-gray shirt, wearing the watch I had given him as a wedding anniversary gift. I stared at the post, my fingers slowly clenching into a fist. Just last night he had told me he was working overtime until midnight, and now he was celebrating a 20-something girl's birthday using the gifts I had given him. I didn't disturb him. I just opened my banking app and checked his recent spending history. Gift purchase, $3,280 restaurant payment, $5,600 luxury boutique purchase, $19,980. I zoomed in on the last transaction. It was from a well-known jewelry brand. I suddenly remembered that on the day Vivian received her award, she had been wearing a delicate chain with sparkling diamonds around her neck. It was familiar because I had once bought the exact same one for myself, but mine was still sitting in my closet, its packaging unopened. I closed my phone and sent a message to my personal accountant. As of tomorrow, freeze Sincere Clark's access to all family expense accounts. Any large transfers will require my personal authorization. Also, pull up all his spending records for the past 6 months. After doing all that, I took out the unopened necklace. The next morning I placed it on the dining table. Sincere, fresh from his morning routine, came downstairs and froze when he saw the gift box. "What's this?" I smiled. "A gift." He opened it hesitantly. The moment he saw the identical necklace he had just given away yesterday, his expression turned rigid. I laughed. "Isn't this the one you just bought yesterday?" I suddenly decided I wanted one too, though it would be embarrassing for us to wear matching ones. Sincere was speechless for a moment, his face alternating between pale and flushed. I stopped looking at him and said lightly, "Next week is our company's anniversary party. All the industry leaders will be there, as well as my parents. Don't be late." He hesitated for a few seconds. "That day happens to be Vivi's birthday. She said she wanted to invite me." The fork in my hand paused. I looked up at him, my tone still mild. "So tell me, Dr. Clark, do you really see her as just your patient? Or have you started hoping that one day her "thank you, Dr. Clark" will turn into "thank you, honey"? He froze, a look of genuine panic finally appearing in his eyes. I wiped my mouth, stood up, and headed back to my study, leaving him with one last comment. "If you don't want to come, I can book a hotel for you in advance, the kind where you and she can spend the rest of your lives together." At 10:30 on Friday night, I received a call from the hospital. My father, Arthur Hawthorne, had suffered a sudden angina attack and had just been admitted to the ICU. I rushed out of the conference room, hailing a cab while dialing Sincere's number. He didn't pick up, but sent a text instead. "Caught up with last-minute work, it's a bit busy. We'll talk when I get back." I stared at those words and let out a cold laugh. Then I opened his location sharing, which he had turned on a while back for my convenience and had since forgotten to disable. The location showed Starfield Hot Springs Resort Oisho Couples Floor. It all clicked into place. Today was the day Vivian Reed had been counting down to on her social media, wasn't it? My father was in the emergency room and he was at a hot springs resort with someone else? Excellent. I calmly instructed my assistant to handle my father's hospital admission procedures, then drove straight to the resort. On the way, I opened my alternate social media account and looked at Vivian's post, which was visible only to a select group. "Sneaking out with Dr. Clark. I've never had such a happy birthday. Thank you, I really like you." The picture was a selfie by the edge of a hot spring pool. She was wrapped in a bathrobe, the diamond necklace faintly visible around her neck, and at the edge of the frame was a familiar watch with its distinctive silver-gray face. I recognized it. It was the limited edition, one I had given Sincere. She had even added a caption. "Dr. Clark said he's turning his phone off tonight to spend time with just me." I smiled. How considerate of him. So afraid of being disturbed by me. When I arrived at the hotel, I didn't alert the front desk. I had my private investigator, who had already booked a room, pull up the check-in information and surveillance footage. Soon enough, it was confirmed. They were in room 803. I didn't knock. I did only one thing. I posted the screenshot of her story to my own social media feed and my anonymous Twitter account, with the caption, "My father was just admitted to the ICU. My husband is working late with his phone off. Turns out he's at this couple's hot springs resort celebrating his student's birthday. The dress is mine, the diamond necklace was a gift from me, and the money was earned by me. So tell me, how much time should I give them to pack their bags?" My social media exploded instantly. I've always had a powerful voice, and my law firm's reputation is formidable. The post spread like wildfire, with shares and comments soaring. "Holy crap, is that Dr. Clark? Wasn't he just praised for his devotion in that couple's interview? That's men for you. First he says she's just a kid, and then they really get down to business student dress, hot springs. My brain is on fire. I sat in my car watching the share count climb and calmly dialed the hotel's front desk. Room 803, this is his wife. Please inform the occupants that in 15 minutes their room will become a media focal point. They should prepare themselves. Less than 5 minutes later, Sincere's phone finally started ringing call after call. I answered the 10th one. His voice was frantic. Victoria, where are you? What did you post? I laughed. Right downstairs from you, of course. I'll give you 5 minutes. Get your ass down here and explain yourself. Or I can bring the media up right now and let them see what a man of high moral character Dr. Clark truly is. Silence on the other end. A minute later, I saw Sincere running out of the hotel elevator, looking panicked, his hair a mess, his steps frantic. The moment he saw me, his eyes filled with terror. Victoria, it's not what you think. I walked up to him and slapped him hard across the face. He staggered back from the force of the blow. I stared at him, my voice colder than ice. My father is in the ICU, and you're at a hot springs resort. The slap I gave Sincere was not a light one. He stood at the hotel entrance for 10 minutes, trying to grab me and explain something about her being emotionally unstable. I was afraid she'd do something. I was just helping her through a difficult time. I didn't listen to a word of it. I just said, my face a cold mask, you've already gone down her path. Whether you turn back now or not, I no longer care. What I care about is whether the two of you can bear the consequences that are coming. As soon as I got home, I immediately called the director of the Starlight Scholarship. Effective immediately, all of Vivian Reed's scholarship benefits are suspended. And mark her file with a disciplinary record. I will send a formal explanation. My assistant was clearly shocked. But she was one of the key students you personally selected for support, and the media just ran a feature story on her. Pull it, I said, devoid of emotion. Her resources came from me. It is my right to take them back. Next, I contacted my alma mater's administration office. Please revoke Vivian Reed's status as a student representative. She is suspected of making false statements and engaging in inappropriate public conduct, which violates the scholarship's ethical standards. I advised the university to monitor the situation closely. After handling all that, I opened the screenshots of Sincere and Vivian's chat history for one final review. Her last message was, Dr. Clark, I really can't hold on much longer. Please don't make me go through this alone. And Sincere's reply, as long as I'm here, no one can let you fall. I stared at that sentence, smiled, and directly forwarded the screenshot to my anonymous Twitter account with a caption, Look how devoted he sounds. It's a shame he said the exact same thing to me 2 years ago, when my mother was on her deathbed. This screenshot triggered a second wave of online fury. Many old fans who had once praised Sincere as gentlemanly, gentle, and responsible turned on him. The afternoon after the tide had turned online, Sincere burst into my office. He didn't even knock, his demeanor aggressive. Victoria Hawthorne, you've gone too far. You know she relies on that scholarship to study and my support to live. Now, because of what you've done, she can't even stay in her dorm. She's about to have a complete breakdown. I closed the file in my hands and looked up at him. Dr. Clark, I don't recall our family adopting a daughter. Relying on a scholarship to study doesn't give her the right to use those resources to seduce you. Relying on your support to live doesn't give her the right to post photos in my dress in the middle of the night. If she's having a breakdown, there are plenty of psychiatrists. I can even give you a recommendation. As a doctor yourself, you shouldn't get emotionally involved. He glared at me. She's just a pitiful person, I retorted. She's just a scammer, a parasitic personality who can fake a breakdown while precisely targeting you. You've just been cast in the role of her victim, although right now you're not a victim. You're just a fool. He was left speechless. I had no intention of wasting any more breath. I've had my lawyer draw up the divorce papers. You don't have to sign them yet, it's not time. But from this day forward, she will no longer be in your life. The money she uses is mine. The apartment she lives in was bought by me. The scholarship she's on was established by me. And even you, the image you project to her, was curated by me. I'm taking it all back. He stared at me, a deep-seated hatred welling up in his eyes for the first time. You're just too controlling. That's why I was drawn to someone kind like her. She just wanted to be grateful, to stand on her own 2 feet through her own efforts. You're the one who pushed her to the brink of collapse. I stood up, a cold smile on my face, and looked him straight in the eye. Sincere Clark, I don't care if she has a breakdown or not. What I care about is, when did you start thinking that her suffering gives her the right to a piece of what's mine? At 6 in the morning, the phone rang. The screen displayed unknown number. I didn't want to answer, but for some reason I swiped to accept the call. Hello, is this Miss Hawthorne? We're from the emergency department at City Center Hospital. There's a young woman here named Vivian Reed who attempted to jump from a building this morning. Her condition is stable. We found your business card among her belongings. She said she felt she had nowhere else to turn because you refused to continue sponsoring her. A cold laugh escaped my lips. Nowhere else to turn? I hung up, changed my clothes, and headed straight for the hospital. When the elevator doors opened, I saw Sincere crouched by the door of a hospital room, his eyes red, looking like a man whose beloved was gravely injured. Inside the room, Vivian was wrapped in bandages, scratches on her face, staring blankly at the ceiling. I walked over and stood between them. When Sincere saw me, he shot to his feet and grabbed my arm. What are you doing here? Did you come to see if she was dead enough for you? My eyes narrowed. Say that again? He gritted his teeth. Why did you have to push her to this point? She's just a girl trying to change her fate. She did nothing wrong. Victoria Hawthorne, are you only satisfied when you've crushed her under your heel? You cold-blooded woman. You're a murderer. A hush fell around us. Nurses and doctors stopped in their tracks, looking our way. I saw the hatred in Sincere's eyes, the look of someone who now saw me as his absolute enemy. I let out a soft laugh and pulled my arm from his grasp. I took back my money. I cut off the funding I provided, and I protected the brand I designed, and that's called pushing her to her death? Sincere Clark, you've truly lost your mind. He stopped talking and just reached for the doorknob with a trembling hand. I blocked him. Not so fast. Remember the Starlight Scholarship Agreement we signed? It explicitly states, students are forbidden from harassing the donor or their family in any form. If discovered, the sponsorship relationship will be immediately terminated, and legal action may be pursued. A copy of that agreement has already been sent to the court to freeze her recent non-academic expenditures, including the 2 large sums of money you transferred to her. And as for you, you are the next person I intend to sue. I pulled out a stack of documents and threw them at his feet. Malicious misappropriation of joint marital funds, concealment of assets, and gifting valuable property to a third party without spousal consent. He stood there, completely frozen. Are you really going to be this ruthless? I spoke each word with chilling clarity. It's because the 2 of you are so filthy. Besides being a lawyer, I am also the head of a fashion brand. The launch for the new season of my brand, LZ by Lawyer, was originally scheduled for next Wednesday. This was my signature haute couture collection, a collaboration with an international brand, a project I had poured nearly a year of my heart and soul into. From selecting the pieces and casting the models to writing the keynote speech, even the copy on the invitations, I had personally overseen every detail. But the night before, my assistant called me, her voice on the verge of tears. Director Hawthorne, the launch has been moved up. It's today at 9 in the morning, Dr. Clark. He signed off on the change, saying you had already authorized it. They're already setting up the venue, and they've replaced the brand ambassador. My fingers tightened. Who is the ambassador? It's Vivian Reed. I didn't say a word. I hung up, got in my car, and raced to the venue. When I arrived, the security guard wouldn't let me in. Miss Hawthorne's credentials have been voided by verbal order of Mr. Clark. I slammed my hand on the registration desk. I am the creative director of LZ. Who dares to stop me? My assistant finally rushed over and slipped me a spare ID badge. I slipped in through a backstage entrance. The first thing I saw when I pushed open the backstage door was this. Vivian Reed standing in front of a full-length mirror wearing the centerpiece of my collection, the platinum haute couture gown named The Light of Law. And the speech I was still editing last night? She was holding a copy, reciting it with practiced ease. Beside her stood Sincere, dressed in a black suit, whispering, "Don't be nervous. I've already smoothed things over with the media. Later, all you have to do is naturally say the line, 'It's thanks to Dr. Clark that I'm able to stand here today.'" Vivian cooed, "Well, you are the most important person in my life." I stood in the doorway and walked in step by step. As my heels clicked on the floor, they both whipped their heads around. "Go on, why did you stop?" Your acting is even more convincing than when you were pretending to jump off a building. Sincere's face went white. Victoria, how did I get here? I sneered. This launch, from the name to the copy, from the clothes to the set design, even the shoes on your feet, was all my goddamn work. Did you think you could move a few files, swap out a model, and delete the notification from my email and I wouldn't find out? Dr. Clark, did you honestly believe you could touch me? Vivian looked panicked and rushed to Sincere's side. I didn't mean to. I just wanted to help you fulfill your dream, to do what little I could. Shut up. I pointed a finger at her. Standing on a stage I designed, you, who have never so much as touched a sewing needle, are you even worthy of talking about dreams? Do you have any idea how many people's hard work you're trampling on right now? Do you know that the dress you're wearing took me 3 months of all-nighters to sketch and 5 separate trips to Paris to get the sample right? Sincere's face hardened. I just wanted to give her a chance. She has been working so hard I cut him off. She's been working hard? Her method of working hard is to sleep with my husband, steal my designs, and play the victim by faking a mental breakdown. Sincere Clark, are you blind or just an idiot? The media cameras in the room had all been secretly recording. My assistant had already informed me. The live stream was connected to the main screen. I turned to face the press. Today's launch is canceled because we have been sabotaged by a traitor, an infringer, a morally corrupt doctor, and a mistress who tried to usurp the position of the brand's creative director. But rest assured, they have not succeeded. I pulled a copy of the emergency court injunction and the brand asset recovery lawsuit from my bag, held them up, and faced the cameras. From this moment on, Sincere Clark and Vivian Reed are under investigation for the suspected theft of LZ's commercial materials, illegally hacking our system to alter schedules, and maliciously impersonating the creative director. The case has officially entered legal proceedings. The day after the fashion show incident, the story exploded on trending topics. Sponsor's husband replaces her with mistress for launch event. Husband refuses to admit fault. Claims she was just too aggressive. Mistress fakes suicide to seize power. Brand director exposes them on site. The entire internet was in an uproar, digging up every piece of dirt on the modern-day ingrates, Sincere Clark and Vivian Reed. Meanwhile, I sat in my office wearing exquisite makeup, sipping black tea, and flipping through share transfer documents. My assistant reported, 3 hospitals have already sent termination letters to Sincere Clark's psychology clinic. Additionally, regarding the infringement case you had us file, the court officially froze his personal accounts and 2 of his properties today. Also, on Vivian Reed's side, we've tracked a transfer of $800,000 from your ex-husband's account. It has been moved in batches to an offshore bank account. I nodded. Contact the police, charge her with fraud. And while you're at it, have a reporter get some shots of the former scholarship recipient getting sued and secretly clearing out her apartment late at night. Pin it to the top of our social media page. I stamped my official seal on a legal demand letter and pushed it to the side of my desk. Sincere had initially hoped to salvage his reputation, but major psychology forums banned his IP address, and netizens collectively reported him as a hypocritical fraud. He tried to borrow money from friends, but they hung up on him the second he asked. The next morning, as he was heading out to negotiate with a company to salvage his resources, he was stopped at his door. The court had seized his car. He was now on a discredited debtor blacklist. His car was towed away, and his credit cards were frozen. He tried to call Vivian, but her phone was unreachable. It wasn't until 10 o'clock that night that he received a call from the police. Mr. Clark, we need you to cooperate with a court investigation. There have been large-scale fund transfers between your account and a fraud suspect who is currently a fugitive. He stood there, stunned. He watched as his credit was ruined, his reputation destroyed, his accounts emptied, and his parents hospitalized from the stress. He ran to the Hawthorne Court building like a madman. Looking for me, it was a rainy night. He was soaked to the bone, a complete mess. Victoria Hawthorne, you win. Just let me go. I have nothing left. I looked at him. Weren't you so eager to be her protector? Can you protect yourself now from your debts and lawsuits? I slowly took a step back. Get out of my sight. Don't dirty the floors of this building. He fell to his knees, crying and begging me. Victoria, we were married once. Please, I'm begging you. Give me a chance to live. I let out a soft laugh. I'll leave you one option. You like psychology, don't you? The security department at Hawthorne Corp happens to have an opening for a doorman. Just remember to bow to me every day when you come to work and when you leave." The day Vivian Reed was arrested, the headline trending on social media was particularly ironic. "Modern-day Cinderella captured, whereabouts of $1 million in charity funds a mystery behind the college student's fraud case. Lies the shadow of a famous doctor watching the live broadcast of her, disheveled and being pushed into a police car." I tapped my finger and switched to another feed. An interrogation room at the detention center. Of course, this wasn't a feed accessible to the public. I have my connections. She was crying, saying, "It wasn't me, it was Dr. Clark. He told me to take the money for a project. That's why I did it. He's the one who said, 'Don, worry, we have Victoria Hawthorne's money to back us up. We have nothing to fear.' That's why I dared to do it. I was just following his orders. I just loved him." Meanwhile, in another room, Sincere was being questioned by the police. She first told me she couldn't pay her rent and was going to kill herself. I felt sorry for her, so I transferred the money. She kept saying, "If you're willing to help me, I'll give you anything." I had a moment of weakness. I honestly had no idea she was misappropriating scholarship funds. I was tricked by her too. The two of them were like snakes trapped in the same cage, first biting each other, then turning to bite the hand that once fed them. I sat in my conference room, watching the spectacle with cold detachment. My assistant couldn't help but chuckle. One says, "He made me do it." The other says, "She seduced me." It's like watching a reality show about dogs tearing each other apart. I smiled faintly. That's because they are dogs. They were just pets when their owner was feeding them. Now that they have nothing, they've started turning on each other. When we were their masters, they were pets. Now that we've abandoned them, they've become strays. The police investigation continued to unfold. Vivian Reed was suspected of fraud amounting to nearly $1.5 million. Sincere Clark was suspected of aiding in the transfers and concealing information, and would be investigated as an accomplice. All their joint assets were frozen and would be judicially auctioned off upon completion of the investigation. I had my legal team issue a public statement regarding the illegal tampering of LZ brand resources and the abuse of a former brand consultant's position. We have completed our evidence collection and have handed the case over to our legal team to pursue litigation. This brand will never employ professionals who violate professional ethics, nor will we tolerate any form of plagiarism or betrayal. Less than 10 minutes after the statement was released, it had been shared over 10,000 times, and the comments section was on fire. I opened a private message from a female journalist who had once interviewed me. "Lawyer Hawthorne, are you satisfied with the outcome of them turning on each other?" I replied with 6 words, "Not even close. It's just getting started." That day was the launch of the LZ brand's autumn-winter collection. As the creative director, I sat in the main seat. The front row was filled with buyers, media, and fashion bloggers from around the world, along with representatives from hundreds of partner companies. Outside, a call came through from the security desk. "Ms. Hawthorne, there's a Mr. Clark at the entrance who claims to be your ex-husband. He's begging to see you." I put down the document in my hand. "Let him wait on his knees." The guard replied, "He's already kneeling." I glanced out the window at the rain-soaked city, a faint smile on my lips. The launch proceeded flawlessly. I took the stage, explained the design philosophy behind the new collection, and received round after round of applause. Only after it was over did I slowly make my way downstairs, my heels clicking as I walked to the entrance of the Hawthorne estate. Sincere was kneeling right there, soaked to the bone, looking like a dog that had been run over by a car and then thrown into a mud puddle. He looked up and saw me, his eyes bloodshot, a cut on his forehead where he had been hitting the ground, rainwater mixed with blood, making him look utterly pathetic. Victoria, I know I was wrong. I'm sorry for what I did to you, to our marriage. I truly, please, just give me one more chance." He scrambled toward me like a madman, trying to grab the hem of my dress. I took a step back, my face cold. "Do you remember calling me a murderer? And look at you now, she was sentenced to 3 years. As for you, you've been blacklisted from your profession, your credit is frozen, your property seized, and your parents are too ashamed to even leave their house. Did you think that by crawling back like this I would even spare you a glance?" His entire body began to tremble. I was wrong. I was truly wrong. I was bewitched by her. I was stupid. I was pathetic. I have nothing left. For the sake of our 10 years of marriage, I'm begging you. Before he could finish, another voice cut him off. Victoria, what did our family ever do to you? How can you be so heartless? It was his mother, Eleanor Clark. She rushed forward, crying, and grabbed my hand. Couples fight, but how can you just stand by and watch Sincere end up like this? Victoria, I'm begging you, the Clark family can't take any more of this. Just give him a way out. He already knows he was wrong, doesn't he? I stood there, the rain pattering on my umbrella. I looked at their pleading, angry, and pathetic faces, as if they were the real victims. I uttered a single quiet sentence: he doesn't deserve forgiveness. Vivian Reed's sentence came down quickly. Fraud, theft, misappropriation, and false charity, a total of 8 charges. She was sentenced to 3 years and 6 months in prison and fined $100,000. Before being taken to prison, she cried out, "I'll be back to take back what's mine." The reporters broadcast the entire scene live. The comments on the stream went wild. What's yours? Victoria Hawthorne's dress, her husband, her company. Someone get her a shovel so she can start digging her own grave when she gets out. Meanwhile, Sincere Clark's life had also reached its end. He was put on the discredited debtor blacklist. His company went bankrupt. His family home was mortgaged, and his parents moved into a rented apartment, living on welfare. He could no longer find a job. He had no friends, no resources. The last I heard of him was when my assistant handed me an urgent file. Sincere Clark had died in the hospital after a failed medical resuscitation. He left behind a single handwritten note, which read, "Victoria Hawthorne, I'm sorry. I was blind, I was greedy, I was a fool. I should have known long ago that you were the light in my life. Can you forgive me just once? Even just once." Sincere Clark. I folded the note and casually tossed it into the paper shredder. He thought a simple sorry could erase the time, emotions, dignity, and trust I had lost. Unfortunately for him, I no longer needed it. I stood by the floor-to-ceiling window, looking out at the city's brilliant lights. My assistant gently reminded me from behind, "Director Hawthorne, the global tour for LZ's new collection is set for next month. Has the venue for the Paris debut been confirmed?" I nodded, picked up the new design sketches from my desk, and opened to the first page. At the bottom was my signature, LZ Creative Director Victoria Hawthorne. I smiled and said, "Let's go. To Paris. I have much bigger stages to conquer."